Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, friends. I come to speak to you today on an issue of the minimum voting age. This is an issue that you may or may not have thought about before, and that in my opinion is not actually of great importance. It has been proposed in the past, however, in Canada, through Bill C-213, that the voting age should in fact be lowered to 16 instead of the age of 18 where it currently stands. The question I ask of you today is a simple one. Why? Where is the supposed demand for such a change, and why would it be beneficial? Are teenagers who are just entering high school, presumably at the age of 14, sufficiently educated and informed to have a say in who governs us? Are they even interested in participating in our political process? My contention today is that the answer to these last two questions is no, and thus I maintain that the minimum voting age should remain as it is currently at 18. There is simply no need to expand the franchise to those who have not yet entered adulthood. As a student of literature and politics and science, I think myself well suited to make such an affirmation. Any threshold applied here will seem somewhat arbitrary, and yet one must exist. It follows that we must do our best to institute a voting age that is as inclusive as possible of all ages, without acting foolishly and unreasonably in doing so. My opening argument is a simple one. There is very little interest among 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds in political issues, whether it be policy, the functioning of Canadian Parliament, or the election process itself. Most studies correlate age with propensity to vote, and if one considers themselves, as one should, with voter turnout, it makes little sense to expand the franchise to those who are even less likely to cast a ballot on election day. The concerns of high school students are many, but politics is not often among them. Most are too concerned with social status or homework to take a genuine interest in politics. There are exceptions to this, of course, but those exceptions find themselves in a minority, and it would be impossible to discriminate between those who care enough about the issues to inform themselves and those who do not. And this brings me to my subsequent point. Those who are not interested in something are not likely to inform themselves on that subject. Indeed, there is little opportunity in the years preceding high school for students to adequately inform themselves on issues of relevance and to discriminate between misleading and reliable information. The 4 years of high school are supposed to aid students in their efforts to acquire knowledge and hopefully to develop a political and moral framework for their future endeavors. This is also a period of great psychological development, where the mind remains susceptible to misinformation and extremism. Youth are more easily manipulated by deceit and can be conned into voting potentially against their own interests and certainly against the interests of others. Without, at minimum, a high school education, it is difficult to claim that one is informed to an extent where one should be granted the opportunity to vote and to have a say in the affairs of the lives of others. Voting is a collective responsibility, and each vote has the potential to impact the life of another. 18 is generally the age when one is held solely accountable for one's actions and their consequences. It is the age where one can be tried as an adult. And so it seems appropriate to me that the right to vote should only be granted to those who are likely to be aware of the impact of their vote and of their own motivations for voting. As a final point, I would remark that it does not seem just to me for an adolescent to have a say in affairs that, for the most part, do not concern him. On many issues, like employment, taxation, medical care, and the military, only those who are over the age of 18 would be impacted by the related policies. Should a 16-year-old have a say in who goes to war in what country, when he is not yet old enough to even enroll in the military himself? I do not think so. I do not think, either, that a 16-year-old would have a sufficient grasp of the economics to have a say in what struggling families working on minimum wage should be paid. Although it can be granted that many adults do not have that grasp either, I would say that firstly, they are more likely to, and secondly, that there are other issues that do directly affect them, and that do not require a complex understanding to have a reasonable opinion about. I will close as I open with the simple point. Our years as adolescents should not be squandered by concerning ourselves with the responsibilities associated with the franchise. There is much to enjoy in youth that does not follow us into adulthood, and such enjoyment should not be lost in the arguments and conflicts of adults. Thank you.